All right, back on the show now is the Menifee maniac, Fernando Gonzalez, who's coming off a hard-fought loss to Maki Pitolo earlier this year. Fernando, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just training, staying ready. Trying to pick up some fights and call out some people.
Well, let's first start with that fight with Maki. I know it was a very close fight. I feel like going into that last round, it really was anybody's fight to win or lose. What is your takeaway from that one?
I was just like you said, it was a great fight. I think the biggest thing in that fight was I hadn't fought a tough guy like that in a very long time. So by that third round, I did feel a little more tired. So I actually was gonna go for a takedown. He kept angling, and when he angled, I went to do like a sweep with my front leg to hook his front leg and get the trip like a judo sweep. But he squared his body as as I went in for the sweep, so he was able to shove me off, and he ended up on top. And I think that was a deciding factor of that fight. Whoever pretty much who got that takedown at the end was going to win the fight. It was pretty close up until then, and I think that's what really decided the fight. Him getting that last takedown, it could have been mine, but he got it, so it worked out the way it did. And but other than that, I mean, it was a great fight. We were going back and forth, and I just loved to bang, so that was a great fight for me. I enjoyed it. I mean, if I lost, it was I got taken down. It wasn't like I was getting my ass whipped, so it was a good fight.
Was he tougher than you expected him to be? I mean, you know he's a tough guy anyways, right? But just looking back at it now, like what was the level of his ability in the cage? Like how do you gauge that?
No, he's a great fighter. I think I already went into it knowing that I was gonna have a tough fight. But I just hadn't fought that kind of fight in a while. He was definitely game. He was throwing with me, and he in the beginning he actually caught me with some good shots. They didn't hurt me, but I knew they were solid. So I was like, this fucking guy, he's heavy handed. So then after that, it threw my mindset more on let's brawl instead of like trying to be more technical than him. And then I felt like it started going a little bit more my way, where I was landing a little bit more shots than he was. Um, he looked a little more technical, like it looked more cleaner, but I was definitely landing more shots than he was as far as power and what was landing. Um, but I think the first round was his, the second was mine, and then the third was it played out the way it did. I was actually winning the beginning part of that third round until that takedown, and then yeah, it worked out the way it did, and he got the win. But man, it was a good fight, and those are kinds you look forward to. I was definitely pumped up for that fight, and ready for many more like that one.
What was your impression of just the promotion, the venue, the fans, the whole atmosphere?
Oh man, that was awesome. And anytime you get a fight in Vegas, it's gonna be a fun night. It's like Disneyland for kids and for the adults. So we were out there, had a good time afterwards and stuff. But um, the whole venue was good. I mean, there's some, like anything, there's a couple of hiccups here and there, but it wasn't nothing that we hadn't seen before and dealt with. So um, I felt the venue was ran well. Um, they did everything pretty well. I thought they ran that whole show pretty much on time. I mean, the only thing I was like weigh-ins. We started like an hour late. So when you're dehydrated, you're like, oh shit, I want to eat and drink. But other than that, I mean, everything ran pretty smooth. The venue was great. Everybody that showed up to the venue was drinking good and having a good time. So the crowd was like cheering loud for us, and it was a good time, man. If I could fight another couple times with Tough Enough, I definitely would.
That fight was actually a while ago now. I'm surprised. I was looking at the date, earlier this year, and I just can't believe how time fast goes. It's like every month goes by faster than the last. Were you hoping to have been back in action by now, or did you kind of want a little bit more time off?
I did. We were trying to get onto because Maki actually went to Eagle, and we were trying to get into Eagle. Um, they said like they were interested, but then they kind of, I don't know what happened with, they weren't throwing shows for a little bit, or they haven't been throwing any shows. I think they might have did one or two. Maki fought on one of them, and then after that, it's just kind of been. I've had 3 fights, and all 3 of them fell out. So one was like 2 weeks out. I was scheduled to fight Justin Baseman, and that one fell out 2 weeks prior to the fight. And so then after that, it's just been kind of trickle effect. The last 2 fights after that, where they fell out a month before, or the guy just didn't take the fight. So it's just kind of been that way right now, and I'm just kind of training and getting ready. I know I'm getting up there in age, so it's not really easy for guys to want to take fights with me with my record. So I think that's kind of the thing that I'm running into right now is I have a lot of fights, and they're not willing to risk their record right now, I guess.
How frustrating is that for you? Someone, a veteran of the game that's been around for a while. I mean, you're trying to still do your thing right now as you're in your mid to late 30s. Is that hard for you mentally to want to fight and not be able to get them?
I mean, it is. It's definitely frustrating just because I know the time's running out. And as I get older, it's going to be time for me to kind of call it quits. But um, so that's the only thing that that I feel that kind of is shitty about it. But well, it's shitty in the sense that there's so many guys that supposedly want to fight, and then when it comes out to it, they won't take the fight. So that's the part that is more frustrating. That if you're a competitor and you're going to consider yourself to be one of the best, you should be fighting pretty much everybody and anybody. If you're the best, you shouldn't be worried about the guy that's calling you out. You
Right.
should be able to take that fight knowing that you're going to win. And I think that's what we're running into with a lot of the guys. They say they want to, but then they won't do it when it comes down to an actual challenge.
You're still a young man in the big picture, right, of just life, right? But as you mentioned, you're getting close towards the end as far as your fighting career goes. I interviewed Ben Rothwell the other day, and I asked him this question. I want to ask you the same thing, because you guys are just about the same age. He's actually a couple years older than you. But when you look back at your career, everything that you've accomplished, I mean, you've been fighting in some of the biggest promotions in the world. If it ended tomorrow and you just couldn't fight anymore, would you be happy with everything that you accomplished, or would you feel like you could have or should have done more?
Well, I always feel that I could have did more, as in the sense that with some of the promotions that I had with like Bellator, I think I had a lot more fights in me to show. But as far as accomplishments, I'm content with what I've done. My biggest thing was always to try to show myself on the big stage, Bellator, ACA, ACB, with these shows, and I was able to do that. I was able to go out there and perform and put on a good show. Sometimes I won, sometimes I lost, but it's always been good performances. Where it realistically, if if it was any of my opponents, they were trying to take me down and not strike with me, so they would make it boringer, But so for me, if I could draw that out of my opponent that he didn't want to actually strike with me, that was a victory for me. And so yeah, as far as that goes, I'm content with what I've done and the guys that I fought. And that being said, I still feel like I got more in me, which is another reason why these guys that are on the top level of, they're looking for fights and they're saying they're looking for fighters. I'm willing to fight them. It's up to them to actually sign that contract and man up to what they're saying. If they're wanting to fight guys and guys aren't willing to fight them, I'm putting my hand up, put my hand or my name in the hat, and they're not taking it. So that's why I'm calling them out and say, what up? Like, we're fighters. It's not like I hate you or anything. You're a good competitor and I want to compete against you.
If I could be like your personal genie and grant any wish to you, what would you hope would be next for you? Is there a certain promotion that you'd like to fight for? Is there a certain fighter that you would really like to step in there and get it on with?
Well, right now I would say the one that I would definitely want to fight would be Mike Perry. Mike Perry, he's been doing really good with bare knuckle. Those guys are allowing guys to go fight outside of the promotion. So for me, I would assume that's going to be the best route for me. I'd be striking. I'm not having to worry about somebody to take me down. And obviously, the fight with Mike Perry would be an exciting fight. He can scrap, and obviously he just fought Michael Page, so that would be another fight that would interest me. So if I fought him, beat him, and then also could potentially open up that door to fight MVP later, which is another fight that I've wanted for a long time since they let me go from Bellator. I've been wanting to get that fight, and I'm sure he wanted that fight too. So that opens up that avenue through bare knuckle, and so yeah, if that was to happen, I would be excited, man. I'd be going out there and letting my hands fly and keep the name going.
How do you see a BKFC fight with Mike Perry and yourself playing out? Like, how do you feel that fight would go?
It'd be a lot of blood. He bleeds a lot, and I'm sure he hits hard. So just seeing that fight with MVP, he landed some really clean shots. He dropped MVP. So I mean, I think they didn't really have a whole lot of room in the ring. It was like you're standing right in front of each other, so that limited MVP's striking ability. And that opened up Mike Perry's striking abilities. He's pretty much already on his chest and letting his hands go, and he's heavy-handed. So, but I think between me and Mike, honestly, my opinion would be that my hand speed would be the difference in the fight. He's heavy-handed, but he's really slow, and I think my hand speed and my boxing knowledge would get me the win, if not the finish.
And if that fight did come to fruition, what weight do you think it would be at?
I would honestly, I'd be asking for 195. That was his fight that with MVP. There was at 195, so that would probably be the best weight for me. I could make 85, but the older I get, I'm actually been lifting and getting some size on me to take care of some injuries and stuff that I've been dealing with over the years. But I just feel better at a heavier weight where I'm stronger. So 195 would probably be good. If they did at 85, that'd be fine too. But I think 95 would be the best weight class for us to put on a good show.
What are you walking around at right now?
Like 205, 210. But yeah, like anywhere from like 207 to 205. Mm-hmm. It's if I eat too much, then 210. But other than that, now I'm trying to stay light just in case anything came up for a 185 fight. But that's pretty much all I've been focusing on is keeping my weight close, putting on some muscle, so that way when I do fight at 85, I'm not the smallest guy, but it won't make it difficult for me to make that weight either. So I've been trying to keep in that area. But yeah, no, everything feels good right now. Just working, and I actually just got hired on at UFC Fit in Temecula, so I'll be able to use the pool and a lot of the new equipment that they have there. And there's an old fighter, Spirit Wolf, who's training out of that gym as well. And so those guys are kind of helping me out and start getting me ready for hopefully this Mike Perry fight. Hopefully he mans up and takes it. He did put out a statement saying that anybody called him out if they wanted that smoke and all this shit that he was saying. So Mike Perry, if you're watching this, I want that smoke and I want to scrap. So as soon as you're ready, let's go. Let's make it happen.
I love it, man. I think BKFC, that would be a great match to put on, you and Mike Perry. Yeah, sign me up for that one. Real quick, you were mentioning, being around some guys at UFC Fit in Temecula. Are you still at Henderson's a lot, Team Quest? You still have some of the main training partners that you have had in the past there?
I do train with my guys still regularly. But the actual team right now, I haven't been working with the team just because I'm getting everything set up to make my transition over to the UFC Fit. So I've been at that gym more right now, just getting comfortable with the members in the gym and getting to know the people I'll be working with. So pretty much this week and last week I've been there. But I mean, they're family and friends always, you know. So as soon as I get situated with my work situation, then I'll probably start swinging back and getting some rounds in with the guys over there.
Very good. Well, Fernando, it's always great to talk to you, my man. As you know, easily one of my favorite guys in the whole sport to do interviews with. Been watching you for a very long time now. Whenever you do have that next fight, whenever it is booked, let's make sure to hop on and preview it.
Yes, sir. Let's get it. Mike Perry, let's go. Let's make this happen.